Hey guys, this is King from Jeff from UnleashThePhones.com, and here's a quick video review of the LG Optimus L5 from LG's new L series range of devices. Affordably stylish, supposedly. It's somewhere in the middle of the LG Optimus L7, which is more expensive and has a larger screen, and the Optimus L3, which is smaller, not as powerful, obviously. So the L5 has the same Qualcomm processor as the Optimus L7, but it's underclocked to 800 megahertz, so it's a little bit slower on the corner. There's 512 MB of RAM, and there's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and basically NFC and GPS, basically everything that you're used to on a Android phone nowadays. As you can see, it's a nice size and can be really held in your hand quite nicely. It is not very thin though, it's a little bit, well, not too thin, but it can be used in one hand, and there's a nice little grip at the back that you can see right there, which kind of helps make sure you don't drop it. This is common with most of LG's devices. You have a 5 megapixel camera on the back, average quality, a little bit noisy in low light, of course. It takes 4 seconds to take a picture, so it is a little bit slow. You can only record video in VGA qualities, which is a huge disappointment. But other than that, it's pretty okay. The loudspeaker itself, not too loud, it's a little soft, but it is very clear, if that makes any consolation. On the sides, you can see there's this metal trim around the device. On this side, you have the volume rocker. Works pretty okay, easy to find and use. At this side, you have the standard 3.5mm audio jack and a screen lock key. And on this side right there, you have the standard micro USB port. And at the front you have a proximity sensor and a centrally located earpiece. Again, low volume in the earpiece, not very clear, bit of a disappointment there. No front-facing camera, which is a bad news for people who really like to video chat. At the front you have these two touch-sensitive buttons for back and menu, and you also have the home key right there, which works pretty fine. I actually like there's a hardware home key because it kind of feels a little bit more reassuring. What really takes your breath away is the screen, for better or for worse. It's quite huge, larger than what you would get in this segment of devices, but it's not necessarily my favorite screen, and I'll tell you why. It's because this screen is just limited to, well, it is 4 inches, which is huge. It's just 320 by 480 pixels, which is stretched out that long. So if I zoom in a little bit more, you'll see that the icons are a little bit blurry-ish, not too great, a little rough around the edges, but it is very bright, as you can see. But once again, the viewing angles is really bad. Like, this is straight on, and if I tilt it just a little bit there, you'll see how it gets a little washed out. So again, a disappointment in that scene. One thing that's not a disappointment though is that it runs Android ICS right out of the box. Really nice to see LG's very lightweight UI on top of the ICS look and feel. LG has their Optimus UI version 3, I think, on it, and there are a couple additions. Like, LG has very cool translucent notification bar, and they have this little quick memo feature that lets you draw a quick memo that you can refer to later. I don't know how useful that's going to be, but you know, there you go. There's also stuff like LG Smart Share on board that lets you use DLNA and NFC. There's also, whoops, let me just cancel that. There's also stuff like the Polaris Office Suite, LG's TV app, and LG Smart World, and Retail Mode. I'm not sure why that's there, but yeah. So yeah, basic additions, but the UI is quite stock-ish. It's quite nicely done. The stock Android browser looks quite nice. It does take a little while to load. There are a couple bits of gestures that you can use. The browser itself is a little slow to load pages, as you can see. It takes a little while to load. Once it's loaded though, it does pan and, you know, zoom in pretty quickly. You will zoom in quite a lot though because of that low resolution screen. which is a bit of a problem. But as you can see, there's a little bit of lag because it's not loaded yet. Coming to media, the music player is very stock Androidish, so there's nothing majorly new. You can sort your music by albums and artists and stuff like that. One very cool little addition is that you can play DivX and Xvid files right out of the box, which is very cool. Can come in very useful, but like I said, it is limited to the resolution that you have there, so I don't know how useful that will be, but it's nice that it's there. Apart from that, we already talked about volume and loudspeaker volume. So yeah, we already talked about volume, which is a little low both on the earpiece and the loudspeaker, and we've talked about the camera. One thing that I haven't talked about yet is the battery life. It does last pretty darn long. I had about 2 days of battery life on moderate usage, which is really impressive considering this is an Android phone at the end of the day. It also has a little bit of power saving things that you can turn on and off. Come in handy, I guess. But to conclude, you know, it's an okay phone. It's a little bit slow processor wise with 800 megahertz. The pixel density on the screen is really not that great. It does feel a little feature phone-ish because of the bad viewing angles and stuff like that. The design itself is very average. I'm not a big fan of the rectangular design. Some people might like it. I'm not a big fan. And one thing that I really hate is that the camera can only record in VGA resolution, which is really annoying in this day and age, because let's face it, you want to take at least a 720p video. So those are things to note. Definitely not a phone that's meant for the geeks like me. I would say you can get a better phone for the same price, like the Nokia Lumia 610 or the Lumia 710, or even last year's phones like the Sony Ericsson Arc S. It's a really good attempt by LG, but I just don't think that this phone does anything new to stand out from the crowd. Of course, if you want great battery life, a nice large display on a budget, and Android ICS, here you go. This is pretty much one of your few choices around. But yeah, you know, don't take my word for it. Check out the blog post on unleashthephones.com for a better idea. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below.